Rennsport is a sim racing title that everybody seems to be very either excited about or anxious about. But mainly, it is a sim that a lot of people are talking about at the moment. In fact, the game is so highly anticipated that the game isn't even out yet, and it already has its own esports championship. Luckily for me, I have got my hands on an early access beta test of the game, and I've been driving it. And today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on what I've been experiencing with Rennsport, how I find the game, what I like and what I don't like, and just stuff in general that, needs developing, and finding out, is the hype really worth it? Just a quick disclaimer though, I should say that this game is not out yet. Not very many people have access to it at this point, and it is still in early development. So if I find any bugs or anything that just doesn't work, then it should be patched and fixed when the game is eventually released. And for all of my tests that I've been doing so far, I have been using the Fanatec DD1 with the Fanatec McLaren GT3 rim with the Moser CRP pedals. And also, just for clarification's sake, this is one of the emails that they have sent out to me, and I just want to focus on one little point here. Since the simulation is still in early development phase, we want you to make aware that this is not the final product, so some errors may appear while playing it. However, you are allowed to publish in-game footage or any other content of the Rennsport closed beta. Fine by me. So, Rennsport. It's in early development. There are things that I like, there are things that I don't like, and there are things that I think just need a little bit of tweaking and a bit of more development. So what we'll start with is just stuff that you basically get right out of the box right now. Right now, there are 5 cars to choose from, 4 GT3 cars and 1 Praga. Obviously, you get the Praga R1 because that's the Praga category, but with the GT3 cars, you get the Porsche 911 GT3R, you get the BMW M4 GT3, you get the Mercedes AMG GT3, and you get the Audi R8 LMS GT3 Evo 2. That was quite a mouthful. As for racetracks, you get 5 to choose from, although one of them, I believe, has been put in there as a bit of a joke, because it's quite literally a figure of 8. Personally, I hope they keep that in the game for when it actually releases, because I think the chaos will be monumental. And I have to say, Rennsport, please keep it in, have a sense of humour, have a laugh. Leave it there, it's great. But aside from the figure of 8, you actually get 4 real racetracks to choose from. That being Monza, Spa, Hockenheim and Nürburgring. The GP layout, not the Nordschleife. We're not there just yet. Now, even though the game is in its early stages of development, each car actually requires its own driving style to be able to perform. All the cars feel different to drive, and they all feel relatively balanced, with the exception of the Audi R8, which is clearly the fastest car of the lot. Now, I'm going to say with certain cars, combined with the physics, are not perfect. Some things definitely do need a bit of work. The Porsche, for instance, is odd to drive, I feel. When you go around like medium speed corners in the Porsche, the back end feels very floaty. It doesn't really feel like it's connected to the tarmac. And in some rare cases, it actually feels like I'm going faster if I apply opposite lock and just slide the car around some corners. Now, when it comes to floatiness, I don't really know what this is. I don't know if it's the game engine that they are using, or it's just their early stage physics. But I have found in some instances when I'm midway through a corner that the car feels just a little bit floaty. Not like Automobilista 2 levels of floaty, it's just there's a little bit of disconnect there. But again, this is early stages of development. I'm sure this is something that they are working on right now. I have to say though, my favourite of all the cars to drive is definitely the Mercedes AMG. It definitely feels like it's the more grounded of all of the cars in the game. When I get behind the wheel, it feels like the car I have to physically drive. The front end feels like it's got quite a bit of weight to it, especially in medium speed corners, and it feels great. But the thing that surprises me about the AMG is that it feels very darty. Like the initial turn in on the car is actually, really sharp. Like more than the Porsche, which is very, very unusual. I must say, I have found myself a bit of a problem. I do not know if this has happened with anybody else that uses the same wheelbase that I have, but the reason why I was on my Fanatec was because none of my Moser gear would work with Rennsport for whatever reason. I do not know why. Now, the game recognizes that there's a wheel attached, and I can, program all my buttons, I can program the pedals, all of my keybinds and everything like that, but absolutely no force feedback. I have no idea why that's the case. I do have a sneaking suspicion that it is neither Moser nor Rennsport and actually more of a Windows problem. Now, I have had a similar problem when it comes to Assetto Corsa Competizione with Moser, where you join one lobby, you get a good race out of it, but as soon as you exit the lobby and join another one, all the force feedback is gone. And apparently the way around this is to disable the game input service in the Windows services. Problem I've got, that doesn't exist for me. So until I find that, I don't really know what I can do when it comes to attaching my Moser in order to get it working with Rennsport. However, if I do find that and I do still have that problem and I attach my Moser to test Rennsport and it still happens, then it'll be either a Moser or Rennsport problem. But for now, all of my knowledge is with my Fanatec. As for the tracks themselves, spot on. Laser scanned, they look beautiful. Not really much more I can say than that, other than the graphics have been complementing them quite a lot. Though I will say, when I was driving around the Nürburgring, I'm so used to the way that Assetto Corsa Competizione does things that I forgot that there were 2 chicanes. Assetto Corsa doesn't use the actual chicane that GT3 in real life use. Rennsport does, and that had an effect. Oh, wait. It's that layout. Whoops. That's going to take some getting used to. Now, since Rennsport has actually asked for feedback in this particular area, let's talk about the user interface. The user interface for me personally, I feel is pretty good for the most part. There are things that I don't like, but let's start with the good things. Now, when you first boot up into the main menu, everything looks very clean, everything looks really tidy, nothing is cluttered, but some people might be thinking that looks really bare bones, and the reason for that is because Rennsport is still in development. There is more stuff that needs to be added, so we're just getting little tasters for the beta. So no doubt what you're seeing here will have more stuff added to it in the future, like if we wanted to have a single player championship or something like that, or a quick AI race, stuff that could be added in the future. But for now, because it's a beta, we're just getting little tasters. Along the top in the main menu, you get the very essentials. You get the single player, multiplayer, My Rennsport, and options. For the most part, I think this is really good. The only problem I really find with it is I think that the stuff is a little bit too small. It certainly looks nice, but I just think size needs to be improved upon a bit, that's all. And in the top right, you get your username with the picture if you wanted, with your safety rating. However, one thing that I do think needs improving upon is the car selection menu. You see, when you load up into it, you get the car that you own, and then all of a sudden there are all the other cars just stacked in the same grid with it. I'm not a big fan of the fact that there's like a 2-lane grid. It looks a little bit cluttered, it just looks a little bit tagged on. I think what would look really nice is if it was just a single file grid. You could actually make it look a bit more like an arcadey kind of thing. This is actually something that would be, would look really nice. Down the left of the screen, you could have all of the cars just in one grid order, and then on the left, you could have just a 3D spinning model of the car that you're choosing. It is arcadey, it has been done before, but it's simple and it works. But that is just my suggestions. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Now that I'm actually thinking about it, they already have done this idea. If you go to the livery section in your My Rennsport, they've got this exact concept, but it's literally just for choosing liveries. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This should be replicated into the car selection menu. And if you wanted to filter out the different categories of car, like GT3, GT4, Praga, you could have subcategories across the top. So if you wanted to choose a GT3 category, it would be at the top, and then it would pull down over on the left. GT4, the same, everything would flip over. Just simple stuff like that. While we're on the subject of stuff that I think needs to be changed, I do think the My Rennsport thing should be just changed to profile, if anything. It's simple, everybody knows what profile is. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. I get what they're going for. It's a simple thing, but it would be just better if it was called profile, because everybody knows what you keep in your profile. You keep your replays, your liveries, your ratings. Everything's all done in that bit. Something that I think should be allowed when it comes to the user interface is the background. I think is very, very pretty, but maybe we could have custom. I mean, Content Manager has something very similar where you can choose the background of your user interface. Maybe do the same for this one. Now, when it comes to talking about the in-game user interface, I think Rennsport have got it pretty much spot on for the most part, because customization is pretty much how I expect customization of your in-game UI to be. It is very simple. You just go into a menu in your options and it allows you to customize your UI HUD however you want. It is leaps and bounds above Assetto Corsa Competizione's, I believe. Not to mention, it is a lot neater, it is a lot tidier, it doesn't look cluttered, it's very, very very clean. It's one of the things that really annoys me about Assetto Corsa Competizione is because if you look at the footage that I'm showing here, I stream, I race with my camera on, I broadcast this kind of stuff, so naturally I have my webcam overlaying the screen. And this basically allows me to just move all the things around however I want. It's kind of like the same thing with iRacing, but just a lot nicer. Though I will say when it comes to customizing the hood, some of the boxes aren't actually turned on initially. So when you click on them, you think that's just an empty box for nothing. You have to press R on your keyboard for them to show up. I was a bit confused because there was just this hollow box and it gave me two options and I thought, oh, what does this do? I pressed it and oh, it was just my fuel. Oh, that's my fuel. Okay, yeah, that can go there. Yeah, okay. I didn't, it automatically just doesn't tell you what it is, so you gotta press R. Okay, that's fun. Moving over to the stuff in the replay menu, I think there's a little bit too much going on really in the replay menu. You've got two menus really. You've got the one on the bottom, which basically gives you your fast forward, rewind, pause, skip 10 seconds, settings. And then there's another menu over to the side, which has got quite a bit of text on it. I mean, a lot of the stuff could be abbreviated or icons. One of the things that really tickled me was when I was looking at a replay of myself going around Monza. I was selecting one of the cameras to go onto trackside, and it was just stuck behind the trees for some reason. I thought, oh, maybe this is bugged for now. But no, it's because you have to turn on the auto director. I don't think that should be a thing, really. I think auto director should be on automatically, not switched off from the get-go. When it comes to the replays themselves, it does all the things that you need it to do. You don't really need anything flashy, but I will say there is a camera called Drone, and I think that is absolutely fantastic. It looks really nice, and it'll look fantastic when it comes to on-track battles. It'll look really cinematic. That drone replay camera thing gets a big thumbs up for me. I really like that. Now, we should talk about the optimization of the game and how the game runs and what it looks like. And for the most part, it's actually flawless. I've got all of the settings turned up to epic, haven't had any stuttering, haven't had any frame drops, and that is a lot more than I can say for Assetto Corsa Competizione because, oh my goodness, is that game poorly optimized. Granted, ACC does have VR support and Rennsport doesn't, but ACC's VR is really terrible if I'm brutally honest. And I don't believe Rennsport are going to be leaving that out. I think that will be coming to the game fairly soon. But as for the way the game stands right now, the game looks really good, it performs well, and it's only going to get better. And it should be mentioned that I do believe Rennsport are adding mod support, which is a big thumbs up for me, because if we look at games like the original Assetto Corsa, that game is almost 10 years old, and it is still possibly the strongest living simulator today outside of iRacing. Adding and allowing mod support is pretty much guaranteed for game life longevity. But right now, since the game is in beta, nobody's really made any mods for it yet, so we've got to wait and see what that's like when we eventually get to it. Can you imagine mods made by RaceSim Studio and VRC but for Rennsport? Can you imagine the GT1 pack being added to Rennsport? That's something that is... Ooh, I love that. Lastly, I'd like to talk about the multiplayer experience with Rennsport. Now, despite it being in beta, we can actually experience online multiplayer. Though I will say the multiplayer menu is one of those things that does need improving. It looks a bit cluttered if I'm brutally honest. But the positive things is that it kind of has a reminiscence of what iRacing does, where there is one race here and you can sign up for it, or there's going to be another race later on and you can sign up for that one. I think that's a really good idea, and it's a formula that basically goes by, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Connecting to a race is dead easy, it's very simple, no issues there whatsoever. The footage you're seeing here, I had a multiplayer race at Hockenheim with 5 different people, and I had a blast. The user friendliness when it comes to the multiplayer is kind of like a combination between Automobilista 2 and Assetto Corsa Competizione. Now, I will admit I do need to do some more testing when it comes to stuff like netcode, because all of the lobbies that I've been in, I've kind of been in a bit of a bubble when it comes to the races. I'm either way ahead of the field or someone is just way off in the distance. As you can probably see from the footage that I'm showing you, I'm just being left behind by that guy in the Audi, and I'm leaving behind the Porsches. So this is stuff for like a future update review. I'll have had time to test the netcode and just see how the functionality comes together. But I have nothing but positive experiences so far, except for one thing, is that when I was on qualifying laps or practice laps, when I was actually on a lap, if the countdown ends, it doesn't allow you to finish your lap that you're on. It will just cut you out and straight to the menu. Doesn't even let you finish the lap. Okay, that's stupid. That's really stupid. I don't like that at all. If I am trying to set myself a hot lap and I'm improving on my time and then I just get cut short because the countdown is gone, no, that needs to change. When the countdown clock ends, just give us a buffer of, say, 2.5 minutes just so we can finish our laps. I think that's everything that I need to say about Rennsport. Quick summary. Cars feel really good. Physics do need a little bit of work because there's a tiny little bit of floatiness with some of the cars. Porsche needs a lot of work doing to it. But other than that, it's just small tweaks here and there just to get improving the game. And I'd love to see the ingenuity of the Rennsport team really shine through with this one because this has got a lot to live up to. So what do I think? Yeah, Rennsport is definitely heading in the right direction. I mean, it has to be. If the game isn't even out yet and it's already got its own esports, that's incredible what they've been able to do. I've had a good time with it so far. It is well designed, it is well made, it looks really nice, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for Rennsport. But anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this review. I really appreciate you guys stopping by and, well, seeing what I had to say. If you've enjoyed this video, then just hit the like button. And if you want to see more reviews like this, then hit the subscribe button as well. Now, I am going to address something real quick because I know some of you are going to be asking, why have you not uploaded in a while? I got this asked while I was watching one of Jadia's streams the other night. Reason being, you may have noticed that I have lost quite a bit of weight. I'm not as puffy, fat-cheeked as I once was. I've been on a fitness journey. I was 205 pounds at the beginning of May, and I am now 185 pounds, so I've lost 20 pounds. Also, I have been doing a lot for the reviews, basically the product reviews. There is a Moza R3 review that I have got ready to go, but unfortunately Microsoft has told Moza to stop any reviews of the prototype being released. So there should have been a Moza R3 review coming out, but unfortunately I can't do anything because I have been told don't do anything just yet. But yeah, just a few other things apart from, you know, trying to improve my health. I kind of fell out of love with sim racing for a little bit. I felt like I needed a bit of a break from it, and doing all those reviews did burn me out quite a lot. I do want to do more sim racing videos and just races in general. But yeah, looking forward to getting back on the horse, looking forward to doing some more sim racing stuff, and looking forward to just uploading more stuff for you guys to enjoy. More reviews coming, hopefully more sim racing stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe, like, blah-de-blah-de-blah. I'm a YouTuber, I have to say all this stuff. And have a good night, everybody. Talk to you all later.